Okay, good morning. It's time for another mini lecture. We are beginning module 3B, as you can see indicated here by my header title. This is the 20th day of our studying together. If you can believe it, we've actually finished half of the process of moving through this English 037 level class. So today we're going to continue looking at short stories, and in particular we're going to start to layer our skills together. So basically what that means is we've built up a whole bunch of these uh, writing skills, sentence writing. We've looked at how the writing process works. We've even already talked about comparison and contrast. We've also begun the process of building our reading skills. And if you go to our website, you'll notice that I've already uploaded 3 new short stories. And this week you'll be working with these stories. You will be reading them. You'll be actively reading them. And also additionally, you will have to take some of those writing skills we've been building and apply them to your reading of these stories. So we're going to actually be working on how to write comparison and contrast. So you'll actually have to select 2 of the different stories and then go through the process that I'm going to demonstrate today. But also at the same time, I wanted to very quickly do a little bit of a review just to make sure we've got these concepts locked down. So you can notice here that we've got kind of our different categories that we're going to talk about, and then hopefully, if the time allows, we'll move into actually looking at the process of building a paragraph from the ground up. Sometimes when I'm lecturing, my mind is jumping ahead to the next thing that I want to talk about, or something that I'm trying to remember to incorporate in my lessons. So sometimes I might throw in a random word there, but it'll cycle back around because that's what we're moving towards. Okay, so let's take a look at these different ideas. So can we remember what the steps or stages of the writing process are? So we had a little reading about this last week. And we talked about how the writing process has definite steps that you move through. So obviously the first step is going to be topic selection, picking the thing that you want to read, but also the task that you're going to write about. Sometimes I'll be giving you variety, so you have to choose the question you're going to answer. Then we do the brainstorming. Now let's remember also that we talked about the idea of research and source evaluation, and where would that come into the process. Now some people will put the research right at the beginning. They'll put it up here at the beginning. I actually like to do my topic selection and start with my brainstorming first, because then I know that at least the core ideas that I'm building my paragraphs off of are generated from my own thinking process instead of some idea that I've borrowed from somewhere else, right? And that's the tricky part. You have to be very honest with yourself. If you've borrowed an idea, we do need to include a citation to support it, right? So then after research, we move into the organization and outlining process, or the planning process. There's different names we can use for these ideas. Then we have draft 1, soak time, draft 2, final revisions, and last but not least, of course, is the submission of the assignment. So that's just a very quick review of the writing process. So second thing I wanted to talk about here today is the compare and contrast writing cues. So let's write those down here, CNC cues. And we'll just make that bold just for some, so this will be points on the same side of the argument, and then we could say ideas or opposition. Okay, so we already kind of talked about this, but So what else? What are other ways that we can say I'm going to make a point that is carrying on or supporting the same point? A few of our Humtatania family members come in handy here. They can all be used as similarity cues. So actually, let's just change this up here at the top. We'll just get that a little bit aligned with the second column there. Good. And then we'll jump over here. So you'll notice that we can use a single word, which these are conjunctive adverbs, as we know that we use in our academic sentence as well. So we can use them to link two ideas together in a sentence, but also in a paragraph, they can be used when you're going to be saying, "Hey, this story used this type of writing tool. This story also used this type of writing tool," right? So that's another useful thing to remember. Both stories share X position, right? Or you could say both stories demonstrate X theme. And so then you go on to talk about that, and then obviously if you're using a triad of support, you would this would be kind of your setup sentence, and then that second sentence in the triad would be the citation out of the story, right, where you borrow the idea from the story, but you paraphrase it into your own words, of course. And paraphrasing is something that we will be doing more practice of this week as well. Okay, so let's finish up what we've got here on the position of opposition here. Okay, so let's see, we've got in contrast, contrastively, on the other hand, opposingly, in opposition, conversely. Okay, and how many do we have? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 there. 2, 4, 6, 8. If we could think of one more. And yeah, obviously sometimes even when you're reviewing concepts like this, it might take you a second to come up with your idea, and it's okay. That's part of the process of writing. You need to take time to think, right? But let's leave our list here as we've got it. We've got it. So we've gone ahead and we have successfully reviewed the process. We have reviewed the CNCs. So now we're going to move into our brainstorming phase. So let's say that I wanted to compare brainstorm CNC of tubing on the puntledge versus, so we can always go back and take a look at what short stories. So there's short story 1, that's tubing on the puntledge. Stork tree, yeah, sure, why not? Let's just go with what's readily available here versus stork tree. And so then what I like to do is a very useful way to set up comparing and contrasting. Again, we're going to use a table, but instead of doing 2 columns, we'll actually do, so this will be unique to tubing, same, and then unique to stork tree. And remember, when we're doing APA, we italicize the titles of the stories. Good, excellent. So we grab these. I'm going to center. I just like to kind of keep things organized. Tubing on the puntledge. And then we can even grab those and we can italicize them as well. Right? And so then you would go ahead and start to brainstorm. So you could say both written by the same author. You could say both use all. So you both have many short story elements, right? And then you could say both share themes of nature, both talk about human interaction with nature. Good, then original to Puntlet or unique to Puntlet, you could say there is a large cast of characters. Then next we could say there is a clear climax moment. Theme of humanity versus nature. We could call this one a coming theme of coming of age. This is a really classic theme that we see in a lot of literature. It's about the development of the characters. Let's go over here to stork tree. So you could say smaller cast of characters. Here we could say set in Comox Valley, Canada. Over here we could say set in Pokhara, Nepal. Travel story. So we're starting to see that these even just by doing a quick survey of brainstorming the ideas, that we have a range of different concepts, and this is the right way to set up your comparison, is to use this type of what we call a T-chart. Some people also talk about using a Venn diagram, and Venn diagram is where you have those two circles that overlap in the middle. Like you'd have one circle that kind of goes here, and then the other circle starts over here and goes like that, and then so the unique sides to this story go on that side, unique sides to this story go on that side, and then the similar points would go in that shared space in the middle where the two circles overlap. That's called a Venn diagram. So this is the starting up process for what you're going to be doing this week, which is to compare and contrast two of the short stories. We've got 6 stories altogether, so you can choose 2, and then you can start moving through this process. So in part 2 of the video, I'll actually look at writing the paragraph itself now that we've done the brainstorming process.